Chapter 1. From Victim to Author. So many women don't realize how often they give away their power. Through the words they speak, the thoughts they repeat, and the stories they tell themselves. Have you ever caught yourself saying, "Why does this always happen to me?" That sentence alone reveals a hidden belief, that life is something happening to you, not something you're actively shaping. It's the difference between being a character and being the author. The victim mindset is subtle. It doesn't always look like self-pity. Sometimes it shows up as blame, resentment, or even over-explaining. It's a worldview where you assume your past defines your future, where you believe external forces have more control than your internal choices, where you wait for things to change, not realizing that you are the one who starts the shift. Now, imagine this. Same story, but you're the author. That means you still face challenges, loss, rejection, and failure. Those don't magically disappear. But instead of letting those things define you, you choose how to interpret them. You become the one who assigns meaning, direction, and growth. An author doesn't deny pain, but they do decide what happens next. Being the author means asking new questions. Instead of, "Why is this happening to me?" you ask, "What is this trying to teach me? What pattern do I need to see here? What would the next strong, wise version of me do now?" This is where change begins, not in trying to fix everything out there, but in shifting the story you're telling in here. Think of the greatest stories you've ever read or watched. The hero always starts uncertain, under-equipped, and flawed. But the turning point isn't when they find the sword or meet the mentor. It's when they make a decision, a moment where they stop running and start owning. You get that moment too, every single day. Maybe it's forgiving someone who never apologized. Maybe it's walking away from a role you've outgrown. Maybe it's finally standing up and saying, "This is not how my story ends." Your power begins the moment you stop outsourcing your life's direction to circumstances, people, or your past. When you take the pen back, everything starts to shift. You act from intention, not reaction. You build habits that reflect your values, not your fears. You become someone who doesn't just survive, but writes a life worth reading. Here's the truth. No one is coming to rewrite your life for you. No one is going to edit the old chapters, but you don't need them to. The moment you realize you are the author, the rest of the story is yours to tell. Chapter 2. From Control to Clarity. There's a strange kind of exhaustion that doesn't come from doing too much, but from trying to control too much. We micromanage outcomes, overthink conversations, obsess over details, and try to make everything go exactly how we imagined it. And when it doesn't, we blame ourselves, other people, or the world. This obsession with control starts early. We're taught to take charge, plan ahead, fix things, prevent problems before they happen. And while responsibility is powerful, what often happens is something very different. We don't just try to control our actions, we try to control everything. We try to control how people perceive us. We try to control what others do, say, feel. We try to control how fast we grow, how quickly things fall into place. And when life doesn't go our way, when someone misunderstands us, when an opportunity falls through, when progress feels slow, we feel like we're failing. But here's the truth. Control is an illusion. You don't control how fast someone forgives you. You don't control how people see you. You don't control when your breakthrough will come. You don't even control your next breath, not entirely. So what do you control? Your clarity. Clarity is knowing what's yours to carry and what isn't. Clarity is choosing intention over tension. Clarity is learning to breathe even when the storm outside is loud. Let's make it real. Imagine this. You're working hard to improve yourself. You're reading the books. You're building habits. You're healing old wounds. And yet, your family still sees you as the old you. Your partner doesn't notice your effort. Your boss keeps overlooking you. If you're stuck in the mindset of control, You might try harder, force conversations, seek constant validation, beg to be seen. But if you live from clarity, you ask a different question. Am I living in alignment with who I want to be, regardless of their recognition? Because when you live from clarity, you understand you are responsible for your growth. Others are responsible for how they receive it. And sometimes, their reactions aren't about you at all. Another example, you're in a season of transition. Things aren't falling into place as quickly as you hoped. You want answers, certainty, control. But clarity says, even in the unknown, I can choose my attitude, my actions, my next best step. You start releasing your grip on outcomes. You start asking, what's true for me right now? Not what's ideal, not what's easy, not what would make others approve. Just, what's true? This isn't about passivity. It's not about giving up or letting life steamroll you. Clarity isn't weakness, it's precision, it's power without panic. It's shifting your energy from the uncontrollable to the intentional. Here's what happens when you live with clarity. You become less reactive. You stop spiraling over every comment or delay. You make cleaner decisions. No more agonizing over what other people might think. You get your energy back. Because instead of trying to manage everything, you manage yourself. And that's where freedom begins. Think about the last time you were truly clear on something. Maybe you set a boundary, even though it scared you. Maybe you ended a relationship that no longer aligned. Maybe you made a decision others questioned, but deep down, you knew it was right. That kind of clarity creates peace. A deep, grounded peace that no amount of external control can offer. So how do you move from control to clarity? You pause. You breathe. You ask better questions. What part of this is mine to handle? What part do I need to let go of? What's my intention here? Not my fear, not my ego, just my intention. And then you move from that place. Control may promise safety, but clarity gives you strength. And strength is what carries you forward when nothing else feels certain. Let them misunderstand. Let the timeline shift. Let life do what it will. You don't need to control every wave. You just need to keep steering your boat. That's the power of clarity. Chapter 3. From comparison to curiosity. We've all been there, scrolling through social media, seeing someone else hit a milestone you've been chasing for years. They got the job. They launched the business. They're in love, glowing, thriving. And suddenly, without warning, you feel small. Not because you wish them harm, but because their success shines a light on your doubts. Why not me? Am I falling behind? What am I doing wrong? Comparison creeps in quietly, like a shadow. It doesn't scream, it whispers. And those whispers, if you listen long enough, turn into stories. Stories that say, you're not enough. Stories that say, they're winning, and you're not. Stories that say, you're too late, too slow, too flawed. But here's what comparison never tells you. It's a liar. Comparison isn't truth, it's a distortion. It compares your behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel. It judges your process by someone else's results. It overlooks your growth, your resilience, your silent wins, because it's too busy measuring outcomes. But what if there was a different way? What if instead of comparing, you got curious? Curious about why something triggers you. Curious about what someone else's success is showing you about your own desires. Curious about your own path, unique, beautiful, imperfect, and unfolding at its own pace. Curiosity is the antidote to comparison. Where comparison contracts you, curiosity expands you. Where comparison judges, curiosity explores. Where comparison says, you should be like them, curiosity asks, what's true for you? Let's break it down. Say you see someone with the lifestyle you dream about, traveling, financially free, joyful. Comparison might tell you, you're lazy. You'll never get there. But curiosity says, What part of this resonates with me? What do I admire, and how can I learn from it? Instead of spiraling into inadequacy, you begin to extract wisdom. Or imagine watching someone effortlessly speak in public, something you fear. Comparison makes you shrink. Curiosity makes you lean in. What are they doing well? What can I practice? What would my version of that look like? See the shift? Comparison paralyzes. Curiosity mobilizes. Here's the truth. Everyone is running a different race. Some start with advantages. Some face invisible battles. Some peak early. Others bloom late. But if you're so focused on everyone else's lane, you'll trip in your own. The real question is, what do you actually want? And are you moving toward it? Curiosity helps you realign with your values. It reminds you that success isn't a competition. It's a conversation. Between you and your potential. Between your fears and your courage. Between your past and your vision for the future. You don't have to stop admiring people. You don't have to pretend their success doesn't move you. But you do have to stop weaponizing it against yourself. Instead, turn every comparison into a question. What is this showing me about my own desires? What can I learn from their journey? What's the next small step I can take? That's the shift, from jealousy to inspiration, from shame to motivation, from envy to empathy. And as you do this, something beautiful happens. You become a student of life again. You become open, teachable, grateful. You stop fighting reality and start co-creating with it. So the next time you feel comparison tightening its grip, pause, take a breath, and get curious. Ask, what is this moment trying to teach me about myself? That's where growth begins. Chapter 4, From Perfectionism to Progress. Perfectionism wears many faces. Sometimes it looks like high standards. Sometimes it looks like procrastination. Sometimes it sounds like, I'm just not ready yet. But underneath it all, perfectionism is fear. Fear of being seen, of failing, of not measuring up. We convince ourselves that if we just get everything right, then we'll finally feel worthy. If we say it perfectly, if we look flawless, if our work is immaculate, then we'll deserve success, love, rest. But perfection is a moving target. No matter how close you get, it always shifts a little further out of reach. And in the pursuit of that unattainable ideal, something tragic happens. You stop moving. You stop writing the book because the first paragraph isn't good enough. You don't launch the idea because the branding isn't perfect. You don't speak up because you don't know exactly what to say. And without realizing it, your potential is buried beneath layers of hesitation and self-doubt. Here's the truth. Perfection is the enemy of progress. Perfection tells you to wait. Progress tells you to begin. Perfection wants everything polished. Progress wants something real. Perfection is rigid. Progress is alive. Let's get honest. Think about something you've been delaying, not because you don't care, but because you care too much. You want it to be your best work, your big break, your masterpiece. But in waiting for it to be flawless, it doesn't exist at all. Now ask yourself, what if it didn't need to be perfect? What if it just needed to be true? Progress invites you to start messy, to create before you're confident, to build before you're sure. Because here's the secret, confidence doesn't come before action, it comes from it. You become a writer by writing bad pages. You become a leader by making awkward decisions. You become strong by showing up on the days you feel weak. Progress is a mindset, a decision to value movement over mastery, to value direction over perfection. One step forward, flawed, unsure, human, is more powerful than standing still, waiting for the stars to align. Think about the most successful people you admire. Do you really think they got there by being perfect? Or did they get there by doing, learning, refining and evolving? Progress is humbling. It forces you to be seen in your unfinished state. But that's where connection happens. That's where momentum is born. Because people don't resonate with your polish, They resonate with your courage. So how do you shift from perfectionism to progress? Start where you are, with what you have. Let the first version be clumsy. Let the email have a typo. Let the conversation be imperfect. Let the idea be half-formed. But start. Give yourself permission to create without apology, to show up without a guarantee, to build something you're proud of along the way, not just at the finish line. Progress teaches you that your worth isn't tied to the final product. It's revealed in the process. It's who you become as you move forward, as you fall, get back up, and keep going. And over time, something amazing happens. You build confidence not from being flawless, but from being resilient. Progress gives you your power back. It says, you don't have to be perfect to be impactful. You just have to be present. It whispers, done is better than perfect. It reminds you, real growth happens in the doing. So let go of the illusion, let go of the pressure, and take the next step, even if it's shaky, even if it's small. Because momentum builds. And before you know it, you'll look back and realize you didn't need perfection, you just needed to begin. Chapter 5. From people-pleasing to self-respect. At first, people-pleasing seems like kindness. It's about helping others, supporting them, and avoiding conflict to maintain peace. You say yes when you can. You rearrange your life for others, and you smile, even when you're not okay. On the surface, it feels generous, and you may even believe that it's how you should behave. But as time passes, you start to notice a growing sense of emptiness. You feel drained, resentful, and, often, invisible. The sacrifices that once seemed small now feel like huge burdens. What started as a way to help others turns into a pattern of self-erasure, where your own needs, desires, and energy are placed on the back burner. Here's the hard truth. People-pleasing isn't kindness. It's fear in disguise. Fear of being disliked. Fear of disappointing others. Fear of not being enough unless you are agreeable or always the one to give. You find yourself saying yes when your heart screams no. And over time, you start to feel as though your identity is disappearing behind the expectations of others. This is the shift we need, from pleasing others to honoring yourself. It's not about becoming selfish, it's about becoming sovereign. Sovereignty means recognizing that your needs, your voice, your boundaries are not negotiable. They are essential. When you prioritize self-respect, you stop erasing yourself for the sake of others' comfort. You learn to set boundaries without guilt, to say no when needed, and to speak your truth, even when it's uncomfortable. Self-respect is not about avoiding conflict. It's about choosing to stand in your truth. The most empowering thing you can do is stop seeking approval from everyone around you. Because here's the thing, you won't ever be able to please everyone. Some will think you're too much, while others will think you're too little. But those who matter will love you for who you truly are. This shift doesn't happen overnight. It begins with small choices. Say no when it feels right. Ask yourself if you're acting from a place of love or fear, and stand firm in your boundaries, even when they make others uncomfortable. It's about reclaiming your energy and protecting your peace. You won't have to chase approval anymore. Instead, you'll build relationships based on mutual respect. Relationships where people honor your truth and meet you where you are, not where they want you to be. Self-respect is about choosing to protect your energy and invest in relationships that honor you for the whole person you are, not just the parts that are easy to love. It's about standing firm in your worth and knowing that true connection comes from authenticity, not compliance. When you embrace this shift, you stop letting fear dictate your actions. You stop waiting for others to validate your decisions. You stop giving away your power. Instead, you start honoring your voice, your needs, and your boundaries. And in doing so, you empower yourself and everyone around you. Chapter 6. From fear to empowerment. Fear is part of the human experience. It shows up whenever we approach a big decision or try something new. It whispers before you speak up, start a project, leave a job, or take a leap of faith. It tells you to wait, to shrink, and to stay in your comfort zone. But here's the key. While fear is trying to protect you, it's also holding you back from the very life you desire. The truth is, the life you want to live, the life filled with passion, growth, impact, and connection, exists just on the other side of fear. It's not about waiting for fear to vanish. It's about taking action despite it. Fear will always have a voice, but it doesn't have to have the final say. This is the shift from fear to empowerment. Empowerment isn't about being fearless. It's about being willing to show up, even when you're scared. It's about taking action, even when you don't feel ready, and trusting that you'll figure it out along the way. Think about all the moments in your life when you've avoided something, not because you lacked ability, but because you were afraid. You were afraid of judgment, of failure, of not being good enough. But fear is often just a projection of worst-case scenarios. It's the imagination running wild without any proof that those things will happen. Empowerment comes when you choose to shift that story. Instead of telling yourself, "What if this goes wrong?" Start asking, "What if this goes right?" Empowerment means facing fear head-on and stepping into the unknown with courage. It's about being committed to the outcome, even if you're not confident in how things will go. Here's something people don't talk about often. Courage feels a lot like fear, especially in the beginning. The difference is, courage is taking the leap even though you're uncertain, and fear is holding you back. After the leap, you find your power. Empowerment is about collecting evidence of your resilience. Each time you push through fear, you prove to yourself that you can handle whatever comes next. The more evidence you have, the less fear can hold you back. You begin to realize that fear doesn't control you. It's simply a feeling that can be acknowledged, respected, and then moved through. Empowerment is reclaiming your choices and your power. It's not waiting for someone to give you permission. It's giving yourself permission to act, to fail, and to succeed. Chapter 7. From Distraction to Discipline. We live in a world where distraction is everywhere. Your phone constantly pings, social media pulls you in, and your mind drifts from one thing to another. Distractions are not just annoying. They are robbing you of your focus, your time, and your direction. But here's the truth. You are not lazy, you're just scattered. Distraction isn't just about time lost. It's about a lack of purpose and focus. And when your energy is scattered, it's nearly impossible to create something meaningful. This is where discipline comes in. Discipline isn't about pushing yourself until you burn out. It's not about being perfect. It's about intentionally choosing where to place your focus. It's about making decisions that align with your bigger vision, even when it feels difficult or inconvenient. Discipline is your rebellion against the constant noise of the world. It starts by asking yourself, what matters most to me right now? What do I need to focus on to move me forward? It's about prioritizing your time and energy, even when distractions try to pull you in. Discipline is not about motivation. Motivation is fleeting. Discipline is what keeps you going when the motivation fades. It's about committing to your goals, even when you don't feel inspired. Chapter 8. From Perfection to Progress. Perfection may seem appealing, but it's rooted in fear. Fear of making mistakes, fear of judgment, fear of not being good enough. And so, you wait. You wait until everything is perfect, until the idea is flawless, the timing is just right. But the truth is, waiting for perfection only leads to inaction. Progress, on the other hand, is messy, but it's real. It's the imperfect steps that lead to growth. Progress happens when you take action, even if it's not perfect. It's about showing up, doing your best, and learning along the way. Perfection is an illusion. Progress is a journey. When you shift from perfection to progress, you give yourself permission to try, to fail, and to improve. Confidence doesn't come from getting it right every time. It comes from learning, evolving, and showing up, even when things aren't perfect. Chapter 9. From approval seeking to authenticity. The need for approval can be overwhelming. We chase likes, praise, and validation, thinking that this is what makes us feel seen and valued. But here's the reality. Approval is fleeting. It can be taken away in an instant. Authenticity, on the other hand, is something that you own. No one can take it from you. Authenticity is about embracing who you are, without apology. It's about speaking your truth, even when it's uncomfortable, and creating something that reflects your values, not just what's popular. The more authentic you are, the more magnetic you become. People are drawn to realness, they crave connection, and authenticity is the key to creating it. At the end of the day, the goal isn't to be liked by everyone. The goal is to live a life that aligns with your values and to feel at peace with who you are. Chapter 10. From waiting to creating. How many dreams die in the waiting game? Waiting for the right time, for the fear to go away, for someone to give you permission. But here's the truth. The perfect moment doesn't exist. What does exist is this moment, the imperfect, uncertain, but available moment. Creating is scary. It requires showing up before you have everything figured out. But it's also the only way anything meaningful gets built. Creation requires risk, courage, and the willingness to learn along the way. It's about starting before you feel ready. Don't wait for clarity. Don't wait for certainty. Trust yourself enough to move forward, even when the path ahead is unclear. Every master was once a beginner who decided not to keep waiting.